Get away from her, you bitch!
Oh, shut up, you tart!
Who disrupts my coronation? Get to the chopper!
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Good evening, everyone. I am that bitch, Calista Valentine, and this is Hun, your geeky showing, now with 30% more lemon Nimoy pie. And joining me on today's episode is the mouth of the Southwest Derbyshire, Jimmy Lee Clifford. How are you doing, Mr. Clifford?
Hi, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Good.
Mostly a little bit of pain from an operation that you know about.
Yes, you are slightly over a week out of surgery, so that's good.
Yeah.
Much like the Tin Man, they installed a heart, but I don't think that's going to work for you.
They couldn't find brains, though.
Oh, no, it's too late for that.
Yeah, past that one.
But moving on with tonight's episode, we're going to jump straight into that question that has been asked from the beginning of time, and it will be asked until the end of time, whenever that will be, probably next Tuesday, if the way things are fucking continuing out there.
Yeah.
Taken. It is, of course, time for what you've been watching, mate.
Wow. Well, I've been catching up actually a little bit, which is good. So I'll go with films first. You gave me a film I watched. Little dip into the horror section. Megan. Wonderful little film about an AI robot similar to Chucky who goes on a little bit of murderous rampage. Very good.
And the sequel has just been announced. A teaser trailer has dropped.
I will look forward
If I can find it, I will link it over to you. Not much. It doesn't give away much. It's just Megan doing a little dance thing with like a smoky background and everything, and it comes up Megan 2.0, and I'm like, well, I like see. This is the thing. Tangent here, people. We haven't done a tangent alert in a while, so tangent alert here.
Tangent alert already.
Megan. That one has divided a lot of audiences. A lot of people that I know who watched it have either said that it's boring, it was crap, they didn't like it. Other people have said it's really good for what it is, and that is kind of the camp I sit in. Is it the greatest horror movie ever made?
No.
Is it a good premise and a good idea with some quite, in my ideas, quite poignant, sorry, in my opinion, not ideas, my opinion, some little wink, wink, nudge, nudge at the way parenting is currently being handled in this world.
Yeah.
That's all I will say. That little subtext within the film, I was like, I like that aspect of it because it's like
that one aspect did get me, as well as the rest of the usual genre with AI and
it is a cautionary tale for AI gone amok. The remake of Child's Play leans more towards Megan's direction than the original Child's Play does because it's AI, not voodoo curse. Yeah. But I enjoyed the first one enough that I am excited to see the second one.
I'm glad to hear there's a second one.
But much like with a lot of films these days, the first one is, it's all right, it's enjoyable. The second one is, why did you do that?
Yeah.
So
let's hope it's not a why did you do that.
Yeah, I'm not out much hope for it, but continue.
Continuing, I caught up. Obviously, we watched the Deadpool. That was brilliant. Seems like that was, lining up films with Midnight. It's a better way of spending the evening than Jules Holland. Thank you for that one, guy. What else? I've managed to catch up. Guardians 3 has been watched. Very fun. Enjoyed that. Did cry.
So tearful, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it did cry.
No spoilers for the audience out there.
No spoilers if you haven't watched it, but I did cry. I watched Ragnarok as well. So I caught up with that one. So that was good. TV series. I've got Wednesday. I'm up to date. Very much enjoying that.
Second season is due out, I think, later this year. Rumors have it October for Halloween.
I'm glad about that one because the next one, briefly touching on Wednesday, I'm glad that Netflix have not just done a one and done series with it. I'm glad they're continuing that because it seems like the other one I was watching is Sabrina: The Chilling Adventures of.
Yes, and that got axed way too soon, in my opinion.
Yeah, that seems to have. I found that out. I've gotten like really quite into it, and now I found out it's got axed, and certain plot lines get wrapped up in another series entirely. But yeah, that was there was that. Other than that, I've been reading. I've been doing a little bit of reading, Stranger Things, because I've got the two novels, and if I can, it's up there. There's a Flight of Icarus, a third book's just come out, and that one covers Eddie.
Right, okay.
And then, other than that, I am you're about to embark on your second journey with them there Winchester boys.
Not quite, as I said.
Not quite. You seem to be prepping.
I'm going to jump back on it on the 1st of March.
Yeah.
Because in April, I think it is around about April for our scheduling system we have over here, which is
I am, as you said, and I think you stated that in the last episode, which I did watch. I didn't comment. Unfortunately, I only got a chance to watch that episode about 2 hours ago. And I thought swiping in with a last minute comment would be just rude of me. So, yeah.
Really? Well, you say
operations, catching up.
I'm sorry, but you're going to get shamed once we get to the...
I'll get shamed on that, but yeah, I'm around. Castiel's definitely there. Don't like Uriel, and we're definitely into season 4. I think we're past the halfway point of season 4 and getting into the latter half of it.
Yeah, see, this is why I said I wanted to do a rewatch of the Winchester Boys, purely because, like I said, in April, we have got our long-awaited episode of Supernatural coming up. And as I stated in last week's episode, it's just a case of, with it being 15 seasons, originally, I will admit to this, when I started to continue the journey with the Winchester Boys after season 6, I'd already watched up to season 6, and I was like, I know enough to jump in at the start of season 6 and go forward, which is what I did. So now when you're trying to mention to me things that happen in like
I can understand that.
13, I'm like,
it's a bit like previous episode.
But I am going back to it.
Episode, which I'm going to briefly mention because I did find this. I am tonight drinking
the Duff beer.
I managed to find some, but you covered. It's like you can't cover the series of. I did not realise the Simpsons had been going quite that long. I knew it had been like was the longest running show. Obviously, I'm not that inept,
and counting 36 years and counting. That's all in that episode. Go and watch the Simpsons episode.
Go watch the previous episode. It's like you say with Supernatural. It's like I'm mentioning things that happened for you yesteryear. Yeah. I am actually watching, and it is interesting watching. I'm watching very rapidly Sam age because he seems to be the one that ages the most.
You know what? Right, I tell you what. When you get to the later seasons 14 and 15 specifically, right, and this is a thing that got me. When you start watching that season, just for a brief moment, go back on your Prime search history, go back to season 1, episode 1, and just look at the little screenshot it's got of Sam and Dean stood next to each other.
Yeah.
I shit you not. I think Sam actually grew taller.
Yeah. I honestly think he did.
Or Dean shrank, because in season 1, they look about the same height. Yeah. By season 14, 15, there's a noticeable gap like this.
Yeah, there's a noticeable gap between. It seems like Jared Padalecki managed to outgrow.
Yeah, he got a growth
by quite a little bit, and he aged more than Jensen. Jensen still.
Yeah, but honestly, less Supernatural talk. Right, is that all you've been?
That covers my list.
Right, okay.
It's a short list because most of my list would be otherwise.
Time for me to jump on with what I've been watching. I started watching last night while I was trying to go to sleep. Puppet Master 2, which if you've never seen any of the Puppet Master movies, they're all available on Prime right now. They're by Full Moon Pictures, which is known for its low-budget B-movie type stuff. But Puppet Master's one of those ones that sort of seem to just resonate with people. Yeah. From the very first, I mean, at this point, I think there's like 9 mainline films and 2 crossovers. I think it could be it could be more, right? But it's just one of those franchises that seem to just latch on. People loved it for what it was. I mean, it's people getting killed by 3-foot-high freaking marionettes, you know, and little bit of almost sort of synergy here to confuse internet searchers. There's a character in it called Pinhead. Not the Hellraiser Pinhead. No, this guy is a Pinhead because he's got a little tiny head that goes up into a point on this body that's built like a brick shithouse for a puppet, but it's got human-sized hands.
So it's all out of complete proportion entirely.
Yeah, but you've got this tiny little head with this scrunchy little.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you've never seen the Puppet Master films, go and give them a watch because they are cheesy.
I am sure
they're not scary.
I will end up watching these.
They're not scary in any which way, shape, or form. They are just good, dumb horror fun. And by about the 3rd or 4th one, they know their audience. They know what their audience is for, and they lean into. They don't take it ridiculous. Well, okay, sometimes they do, but they take it to a point where it's like, this is what I want from this franchise. I want to see the puppets doing more wacky, crazy kills. That's what I'm here for. So watch that. I've been watching more Arrow, a lot more Arrow, because that's coming up very, very soon on this show. We're covering Arrow.
I will not be here for that one because I have not watched that at all.
Yes.
I've never been the biggest DC fan.
To be fair, right, and I get the criticisms with this, Arrow is basically a Batman show without it being Batman.
Yeah.
You know, the character of Green Arrow is always in the shadows, uses a voice thing to change his voice. He sounds very deep like this. You know, it's very, very inspired. I don't want to say it directly rips up, but it's very inspired by the Nolan Batman films. Like it takes that dark, gritty approach with it, where it's not the Green Arrow that we know from the comic books where he's wearing the Robin Hood hat with the little feather sticking out of it. And he's got his joke arrows like a boxing glove and sleeping gas and stuff like that. He does have arrows that can knock people out and stuff like that, but it's much more of a gritty retelling of the Green Arrow story.
It's kind of like, by the sounds of it, it's like Bruce Wayne meets Hawkeye.
Kind of. It's the best way to put it. But the first 3 seasons, because I'm mid season 2 at the minute, and I love those first couple of seasons because it hints at a wider DC universe out there.
Yeah.
Like it's got name drops and references to other characters like Blue Beetle and characters like that. And even in later seasons, they do mention Bruce Wayne. Yeah. So, you know, it does hint at a larger DC world out there, even if you don't see it all. So it's good for that, but I have my problems with it. I will talk about that next week or whenever the fuck it shows up. But other than that, I've been busy working on my books. So TV viewing time has been minimal for me. I did also watch last night because I needed a good fucking cry, and this film always does it to me. I watched My Girl. Not very geeky, I know, and a bit too sentimental for this queen bitch over here, but I have my reasons.
Film, but it's obviously it's an old film, and I think I watched it like many yesteryear. So it has been a while since I watched it, and it's one of them that I've watched and drops off, and I'm thinking about it's. I think I've got to rewatch it to remind myself because things keep coming up about it. It's like there's a memory there, but I not quite make the connection.
But yeah, so that's it for my what you've been watching, because I've been busy working on my books. I haven't had much time for TV, and if I have, it's all stuff that I've watched before. Like yet again, another run through a Big Bang Theory to have on in the background when I'm trying to sleep. So
I get that.
That moves us swiftly on to
the shoutouts.
You didn't give me a chance. You can't. You jumped the gun. I mean, I know your wife says you are always early.
I don't go there.
You always get there before she does. And
most men have this problem. It's a biological, unfortunate Got to learn to pace myself better. Yeah. Okay.
All I'm going to say is denial. It is not just a river in Egypt. Anyway, it is
moving
swiftly
on.
The shoutouts. And I'm going to put my specs on for this so I can actually fucking read them.
The sexy specs are going on, ladies and gentlemen.
So I look like a dirty librarian.
Oh.
Anyway, from last week's episode, The Simpsons, we have the man, the myth, the beard, Agent JK47, the Ginger Ninja himself, the Ginger Ninja JK.
Yeah.
Hey, hope you're all doing well. I'm guessing that hey was supposed to be done in the voice of Krusty. Hey.
Yeah, hey, yeah, reference.
Hope you're all doing well. I can't complain apart from obviously lingering sore throat from flu a couple of weeks ago. Guy, you haven't seen the Monster Squad. WTAF, if you know what that means. If you know, you know. You need to get on that. It's a classic. Tangent here. Jimmy, Monster Squad. I'm guessing you haven't seen that.
Sorry, JK, no, I haven't. I've heard of it. I just haven't watched it.
Where did I put my pen? I need to put another demerits on.
Yeah, you got a demerits. Yeah.
You get
sure
three in a row.
Documentation has since been incinerated. You know, that Geek card's been incinerated.
No. See, we've got a new system now. You get 3 demerits, right?
Oh, right.
Once you hit 3, it's pineapple galore.
Oh, right.
Violet is waiting with a rubber glove and some lube.
Oh, dear.
Mm-hmm. The man for Del Monte, he goes,
yeah.
Anyway, continuing on
Sorry.
with JK's comment, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was good. I liked it, stunning to look at, but I had issues with the humans that can still speak. And there was an Easter egg in the first one, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. It's my turn to correct you here, JK, because normally you correct me when I get facts wrong.
Ooh.
It is actually from Rise of the Planet of the Apes. That was the first one of the new trilogy. It's Rise, Dawn, War, and then Kingdom. So... that was in brackets. That hinted at a lost spaceship. Yes, it does. There's a newspaper in the first film. It drops down. It's a brief kind of wink moment. It says astronauts lost in space. And that has led fans to believe
that's the actual spaceship from the original.
That is referencing the character of Taylor, whether or not it's going to, just do a loop round and not remake, or if it's going to loop round and then remake. That is the wink, nudge, nudge to Taylor's spacecraft that crash lands in the far future in the original film.
Yeah.
So a lot of fans are thinking, oh, that's just, setting up the idea for if they want to do a full remake, they're out there. They're
like, they could run that one or two ways. Like you said, they could do a full remake, or that could be a hint to the original set films being coming full circle that way.
The only wrinkle with that is that in the original film, when it's doing a little monologue right at the beginning of the film, he does state that the Earth year when he left was 1971, I think, or 73.
Yeah.
So there is that slight time discrepancy, which is what makes me think maybe they'll go full remake and sort of
to bring it in line.
Yeah, which, to be honest, if they do it good enough, seeing as how good these ones have been, to do a full remake of that original film and not Tim Burtonify it like they did in the early 2000s, I'd be okay with the premise of it. It just depends on who they get to play which parts, because that is a big thing with Planet of the Apes. If it's all makeup or all CG or whatever, it's not about getting the prettiest actor or the actor that can do that. You want the actor who can emote through that makeup, who can tell a story with
the
eyes rather
than eyes and face. Yeah,
you need someone who can work with the makeup and still express through it. But anyway, we're tangenting again. We've got a lot to get through. We're tangenting here.
Yes,
right. The Simpsons. While it has dropped in quality over the last few years, in my opinion, of course, mine too, the last couple of seasons, I've just not even bothered with. It is undeniably one of the greatest TV shows, animated or otherwise, to bring us many, many years of joy. I also enjoyed the Treehouse of Horror episodes. Though they do wear thin after a while. Try watching 31 Treehouse of Horrors back to back, and you will see what I mean. Yeah, I watched a fair few of them one Halloween, and after about 4 or 5, I was like,
yeah.
That's enough of that. So 31 back to back. Hats off to you, JK, for doing that. I wouldn't have bothered.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Back to where we are. Also, Ralph Wiggum, best character.
I'm in danger.
I'm in danger.
Get out of there, boy. He is one of my favourites.
Best character, and the theory is he is not Chief Wiggum's son. He is Eddie's. Look at the hair. Take care. Do you know what? That is a long-standing theory, and you know what? It would explain a lot.
Yeah, because Chief Wiggum is out on patrol and doing other things rather a lot. He is.
Well, it's not just that, right? But like, Chief Wiggum ain't the smartest.
No.
Around. So if he's the chief of police, what are the other cops like? That all of a sudden, when you look at poor old little Ralph Wiggum, you just go, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it now. And moving swiftly on to the next comment, the one to shame you, Mr. Clifford, because this one was made this afternoon.
Thanks, Tony.
It is, of course, the Calico Crichton himself, the son of the Pertwee, Mr. Tony Harris, over from the Retro Movie Zone. He goes on to say, great episode, folks. I'm determined to keep up with you this season.
Good on you.
I'll be sure to get back into the routine of commenting straight after watching each pod. You don't have to, Tony, but we do appreciate it, so thank you. I have a confession to make.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a full episode of The Simpsons. Yeah, I know. I can almost hear the groans and screams of what the actual fuck did he just say. I have bumped into it on numerous occasions while channel hopping, but I can't remember ever watching a complete episode. Definitely need to put that right. Callie, if you're going to be rewatching Supernatural, then maybe I should have a swipe at taking on The Simpsons right from the beginning. All 36 seasons and 700 and whatever episodes it was. 781 episodes it was, Tony. So good fucking luck with that. You're going to have to watch
Tony, your Facebook with certain films as well, when I'm popping up occasionally, I've watched this and you haven't. Honestly, The Simpsons might be too much for you, mate.
I think it might be. I think that's too high of a hill to climb. The Supernatural one, it's a ball buster because of. Sorry to give you. No, I'm not trying to give spoilers here, Jimmy, because you've not seen it. But when you reach that emotional climactic end of the final season of Supernatural, you need to stop. You need a break from like. Like, even if it did carry on after that, you'd need to take a fucking...
Well, that is why we're on only season 4 partway through, because it's like we watched season 1 and bulked season 2. We needed a break, so we had a break. Now we're on to season 3 to season 4. I've got a funny feeling me and my wife will have a break after that and move on. So, yeah.
The Simpsons, though, that is a bigger hill to climb than Supernatural. Not only is it more than double the amount of seasons...
They're still making them.
I think it's more than... triple the amount of episodes. I think in total, Supernatural got something like 200 and something odd episodes. I can't remember the exact number count, but they got quite high up there in the numbers because of 15 seasons. The Simpsons. Good luck, Tony. Good luck.
If he does it, good luck.
Good luck is all I'm going to.
Maybe when you're watching certain things, block an hour, watch 2 of them, and then move on. Then.
Yeah. Anyway, lost where I freaking was now.
Sorry.
What are your thoughts on the possibility of me actually achieving this? Good luck. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck. Now, be honest and don't hold back. Like I just said, Tony, hats off to you for trying, but I would not do it. I draw maybe if it was like, I don't know, a couple of seasons over a 3-year period, maybe.
If Tony's not watched it, he probably got better luck getting through the last episode of Stranger Things.
Yeah, I'm watching one sitting. Anyway, I lost where I get. This is such a long comment. I keep losing where I am, Tony. I also have a question for you and your viewers. Does anyone remember an animated series which I used to love, and which was a kind of forerunner to The Simpsons, called Wait Till Your Father Gets Home? It was originally broadcast in the 70s on ITV as a kids show, but if you watch the opening credits, there is one snippet that definitely wasn't family friendly, only we didn't realize at the time. Curious to know if anyone apart from me actually recalls seeing this brilliant show, despite... Oh, no, that's moving on to the next bit. That's right. Right. I do remember this show, but I don't remember seeing it. The name, as soon as I read it, I was like, wait till your father gets home.
Remind me of the name, because that's the name.
Wait till your father gets home. I recognize the name of that, but
I recognize the name of it.
I can't remember if I ever watched an episode. I think it may be one of those things that was on the TV when I was very, very, very small. So it's very it's just, wait, I know that. So I'm going to do a little digging on this one, Tony, and see if it is the show that I'm thinking it is, because there's very hazy memories right at the back of my brain about a show called Wait Till Your Father Gets Home. So leave that one.
I've got it's ringing a bell, but I could be confusing it with another one. There's another one, something to do with father, and it's animated as well.
But moving on, despite never having seen The Simpsons, I really enjoyed the banter and lively chat between the two of you, as always, and I'm looking forward to next week's episode. Well, here it is. Enjoy.
Here it is.
By the way, I think Hendrix and Gizmo should have their own show in which they can happily show off their arseholes. It says here, till their heart's content. I think I'm supposed to be to their heart's content. I'll leave that suggestion with you. Until next time.
That's what my wife keeps saying, that fancy butthole. Yeah. I mean, luckily I haven't got Loki or any other for you.
That is it for the shout outs for this week. We are now half an hour into the fucking episode.
And we've got a lot to cover.
Well, we're going to try and keep it.
Yeah, we are.
Within an hour. Within an hour. Our cut-off is 10 o'clock if we do run over, but
yeah.
Regardless, moving on to the subject of tonight's episode, going a bit geeky here with some gaming geekness. We are talking about one of the best trilogies of the 7th generation of consoles. I think it's the 7th generation anyway.
I think it is.
We are talking, of course, the Mass Effect Trilogy. We are not going to talk about any expanded media, i.e. comic books, novels.
All of that is on show. We are not talking about that. It's available.
Animated stuff. If you want to track, if you are a fan of the games and you wish to track down, and maybe you already have it, but if you don't know any of the expanded media, it is out there. Do your research like we've had to. I mean, well, kind of. I love the game, but it's out there. We don't want to go, because if we covered everything, we'd be here all night. And
we would be here more than the limit allows.
At the time of recording, I have a Comic-Con to go to in the morning.
And I'm driving.
And Mr. Clifford is my chauffeur for the day. So we have lots to contend to tomorrow. So tonight has to be a shorter episode than normally planned. But there are expanded media. We're not going to talk about Mass Effect because, much like the publishers, I think the fans...
Mass Effect Andromeda. Andromeda, we're not talking about that.
No.
Even the developers forgot about that.
Yeah, they gave up on it, much like the fans did. It was not a good game. But we're not going to talk about that. So, jumping straight into it with
Mass Effect.
Well, it's just called Mass Effect, but retroactively, because there's 2 and 3, you call it Mass Effect 1. But Mass Effect was originally released on Xbox 360 on November 20th, 2007.
Which, for those of you who want to feel old, was 18 years ago.
The game that is rapidly approaching its 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
And there is a new game planned out, so maybe they'll coincide that.
More on that one later.
Anyway.
Moving forward.
Effect 1. Right, I'm going to quickly cover I stumbled into the Mass Effect franchise. A lot of people were like there from day one and loved it from day one. I stumbled into it purely because I was in game one afternoon. I'd had an Xbox 360 for a little bit at this point, not as long as it'd been out, but I'd had one for a while. I was in game. I had £20 to spend, and they were doing this deal: buy one, get one free. Cheapest game for free. I'd already picked out the one game that I had to have that game. And I was like, I might as well see what game I can pick up for less than 20 quid because it'll be a freebie. I had a look round. The only game that kind of took my interest was Mass Effect 2. Not Mass Effect 1. They didn't have a copy of Mass Effect.
You got there a bit late. That was 2010.
We'll get to that. But so I picked up a copy of Mass Effect 2. And of course, I got home, played the other game, finished it through. It sat on my shelf for a good few months. Yeah. Finally, I was like, I'm going to give this a try. It's a BioWare role-play game. I know this from like Knights of the Old Republic and things like that. More on that later as well.
Yes.
So I booted it up. I created a character and the game started and I was like, I feel like I should know something here. I feel like I really need to play the first one. Familiar. So I spoke to my friend Colin, who was a massive fan of Mass Effect. And he quite bluntly said, stop playing. How far you got into the second one? I was like, I don't know, 20 minutes. I've literally
yeah.
I know my character's dead. What was alive, then dead, now alive again, woke up, and then I kind of...
Minor interjection for the audience. The first part of Mass Effect 1, right, there is a big part, and it does let it down.
We'll get there.
If you get past it, it gets very, very good.
We'll get there.
But we'll get there.
So he says to me, stop playing Mass Effect 2 immediately. And if you can, go and get a copy of Mass Effect 1.
Yeah.
And as if fate was smiling down upon me that day, I went into HMV and they had a Xbox, I think it was Xbox Platinum or...
Yeah, it was
Xbox equivalent of Platinum.
Yeah.
Xbox Classic, I think it was. Double pack.
Yes.
Crackdown, the first one, and Mass Effect 1.
Yes.
And they had a sale on. So it was only £10. So I was like, you know what? For a tenner for 2 games.
Yes.
Yeah. I got it. I played through Mass Effect 1. I loved it. I'll explain what. There's bits that kind of make you even now go,
yeah.
But I loved it. I played through it multiple times. Played through the second one multiple times, but jumping ahead there. So the story on Mass Effect is you play as a human, either soldier, biotic. You get to pick your character class. It's an RPG. But you play...
Male and female characters are available.
Male or female character. And basically, you are a Systems Alliance soldier. There's a lot of lore. We're not going to explain it all here. If you want to know more, go read.
Go get the game and read this. Go and read the actual...
in the game, yeah. There's plenty of it in there. But anyway, so
that type of game.
you are testing out a new ship which is co-built by the humans and an alien race known as Turians. You think this is just a test run, test this out. Turns out it's actually a covert mission to go to a planet called Eden Prime to investigate a beacon that is a leftover piece of technology from a forerunner race called the Protheans. But of course, it turns out that this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's the return of a all-powerful AI race known as the Reapers that every 50,000 years come to cleanse the galaxy of all intelligent life forms, human and otherwise. And that's
capable of building space travel effectively.
Yeah, so that's the basic premise of Mass Effect. That's the setup. That's all you really need to know going into the game. You play as Shepard. Throughout the game, you encounter new squad members, different alien races. You team up. You go from planet to planet,
investigating,
doing investigations. And this is the thing with the series as it goes on, right? The first one for me is more pure RPG, where you're given a map. You can go wherever you want. The only thing that's really going to hold you back is there's certain enemies on certain areas that if you try to fight them at a low level, they are going to go, ha ha, fuck you, you don't. Yeah. Like Thresher Mars on a particular planet on a very early mission, 2 or 3 shots, you're screwed.
Yes.
So, but
and the game is fantastic because it's older. It doesn't tell you this.
No, there's very little hand holding in the OG.
Yeah, it is literally, here's the galaxy, get to it.
So the game starts, you're on Eden Prime, you get through that, you end up, absorbing visions from this beacon. The story progresses and you end up on the Citadel. Now, this is the controversial part of the original Mass Effect. This is where
the first controversial part, but yes.
A lot of first-time gamers who have, I say first-time gamers, a lot of people who hadn't really played role-play games like Mass Effect, like Knights of the Old Republic, wouldn't really kind of get, because this is an old-school game mechanic where very early in the game, they drop you in a hub zone.
Yes.
And it's a very mazy, windy, you can get lost in path. And a lot of people give up on that because there's so much to do in that area before you can actually leave.
Yeah.
All the rest of the galaxy.
And a lot of it is conversation based, not combat based.
Yeah. So you spend literally I think the first 45 minutes in pure combat mode. Yeah. And then you've got about an hour, maybe an hour and a half of nothing but talking.
Depending on your playthrough speed.
Yeah, and a lot of people, first-time playthrough, if you're a completionist and you want to talk to everyone and do all the little side missions, you can spend a good 2 hours in the Citadel.
Yeah, oh, yes, easily.
And that puts a lot of players off because it's like, I just want to know where I'm going. I want to follow the main story. I want to get from point A to point B. I don't want to explore this whole goddamn space station looking for one person to talk to, right?
As a recent if you're familiar with the Dark Room, as a recent comedian of the Dark Room said, this is Halo for those with a university degree.
Yes. And honestly, I cannot disagree with that because it slows the game down to an absolute crawl. Even having played through it as many times as I've had, as I've done.
Yeah. It can get a little tedious.
Yeah, that. And when you're on the first one, just that Citadel section, it's like, I just need to get through it.
But once you push past it,
once you're out that and you can explore literally any planet you want,
it gets very interesting very fast. And there's a lot more
there are some planets you cannot explore, but the ones that you can land on, you can go wherever. You've got
it's a little bit of conversation, then there's a bit of action, then there's a little bit, and then you've got this nice
the balance.
This nice balance between.
You get that good balance where you'll have a conversation with someone that will lead to a combat scenario. Then you'll go through 2 or 3 combat scenarios in different areas, and then you'll have another conversational tree come up. So the balance becomes a lot better in the later games. So it's, I always say to anyone who's never played Mass Effect, just get past the Citadel. Honestly, don't hit the Citadel and give up. I know it's a lot of talking, and I know it's a lot of just standing around and going, click.
Yeah.
It's not a lot going. I say there's not a lot going on. There's not a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. It's just not a lot of a trigger. It's a lot of conversation.
Yeah, there's a lot of talking and standing around, and not a lot of gameplay action.
Yeah,
it slows it down. But once you get past it, it's a lot better. So you end the first game. We're not going to go too heavy into spoilers. We're not going to go too deep into characters because honestly, I'd love people to have never played.
Yeah, because the dynamic of this game,
it's all about choice.
Yeah, it's a lot about, and we'll get back to that later when we get to number 3. But there's a lot of choices, and they have ramifications. That is one of the beauties of this game. For a long time, a lot of your conversations and things you have to take your time because your conversation will lead to a choice. That choice may very well come back to bite you in the ass.
But
Right?
moving it on, you progress through the game by shooting, killing, talking to people, recruiting more people. You can have
RPG leveling up.
Yeah, you can have romantic relationships with certain crew members depending on your gender.
Yeah,
but that
they can go awry as well.
I'm going to do my own little talk about this right at the end of the whole thing because for me it's a good thing with Mass Effect, but we'll get to that anyway. But you get to the end of the game, you've stopped the Reapers for now. You've killed the main big bad guy, Seren Octurus, who you were chasing around the galaxy. He was sort of the voice for the Reapers. He was the front man. You know, the Reapers are the guitarists. He's the front man. He's the voice. But so yeah, you beat him. You save the galaxy, and then you fly off.
And you're heralded as a hero.
And yeah, you're heralded as a galactic hero. And then you start the second game, and you fucking die.
Yeah, 10 minutes in, and your character.
It's not even 10 minutes in, it's the opening fucking cut.
It's the opening thing. And that's the other funny thing. I think they learned the lesson from the first game. You got an hour, like we've just discussed, you get like 45 minutes hard action. Then quite a bit of talkie. The second game learned from that.
Kill you.
Heavily. There you go. Your character's dead.
And
2
then,
years later.
then they bring you back and I get
and instantly.
I like this tutorial mission in the second one more than the first one because the first one just drops you down. It's like shoot anything that moves. The second one, it's like it teaches you about taking cover, reloading because you don't have a heat sink system now. Now you have a more traditional clip system. Yeah. It teaches you everything, but it also gives you enough dialogue in amongst the combat. I mean, when you first have a dialogue tree with Jacob, you're getting shot at.
Yeah, you're literally getting shot at.
But anyway, Mass Effect 2 came out January 26, 2010. 3
years ago.
15 years ago, 3 years after the first one. The one thing I will definitely say straight out of the bat for Mass Effect 2 is the improvement in the graphics and the handling of the game. Like the actual movement within the game is so much.
I think it would not be incorrect to say that for most fans of for this overall and the games, 2 is where it's at. It's got a real good balance to this game.
Yes. Gameplay wise, it is more streamlined, selecting powers and leveling up and things like that. It's much more streamlined. Yeah. The one thing that I don't like about Mass Effect 2 over Mass Effect 1, however, is it's a little bit more restricted. As in the hub worlds that you have got, like you can go back to the Citadel, but now it's just 1 or 2 levels.
Pretty much one room for the Citadel.
Well, it's 3 floors.
3 floors, 1 room.
Easy to access. It's very, it's much more simplified. The same with Omega. It's a hub world, the first one you go to, and it is quite a big one.
That one's probably the biggest one for 2.
Yes.
Omega.
But it is still it's still easy to know where you're going and navigate around as compared to the Citadel, where they even had to put fucking signposts up in the first one, so with arrows, like so you knew where the fuck you were going.
This way for this way for that.
Exactly. Whereas in Mass Effect 2, there's none of that. So I do feel that it's lost some of its charm by downscaling. It's like planets now, you can only land on planets that are either a hub world or mission
based,
mission sensitive, and even some of those you can only visit while there's a mission.
Tiny sections of
it's more like a small combat area. So I feel that in doing that, where you gather resources by scanning the planets and sending out probes and stuff, it's for me that's nowhere near as enjoyable as landing the tank on a planet and then tootling around.
You mentioned the landing, the homages for science fiction throughout the entire series are brilliant. because there's homages to Star Trek, to Battlestar, to also it's a big. There's a lot of homages, but there's a lot of new stuff there too. And like you say with the probing, it is one of the only games where you can go and literally get a little Easter egg that says probing Uranus.
No, actually, if you do it,
it is a little
Edie. If you launch a probe at Uranus, she actually go, "Really, Captain?" She just goes,
okay.
"Really?"
Yeah,
like you can tell in her tone of her voice, she's like, "Really?"
Yeah, I did that twice.
Uranus.
The best is it's best to do it like 2 or 3 because the first one she goes, "Really? Seriously, Commander?" And you send the second one, you're okay, probing Uranus.
Anyway.
Okay,
so the story of Mass Effect 2. As stated in the beginning, you're on a routine patrol on the Normandy with your crew and whoever your romance choice was in the first one, because your save file, this is a big thing with Mass Effect.
This is one of the first, one of the only and one of the first games that did this.
Yeah, a lot of your choices, not all of them, but a lot of your choices that you made in the first one carry over into the second one and again into the third one later on down the line, but we'll get to that anyway, because they shat on that at the end. Anyway, but the story of Mass Effect 2, while on a routine patrol, you're killed, you're spaced, you're dead, you're deader than a fucking doornail, right? 2 years later, you wake up in a facility. You are the one and only subject of Project Lazarus, set up by Cerberus, a rogue splinter pro-human group that was mentioned in the first one. You could do missions to kind of
on missions you could in fact miss.
Yes, if you had to talk to one guy very early on. Anyway, they brought you back because they want to help you stop the Reapers.
Yeah, because they believe you and they want to help you.
Yes, and brilliantly voiced by Martin Sheen, the elusive man. He's kind of
the voice actors in this as well.
The voice acting in the series, we'll touch upon it when we get towards the end, but some of the famous faces that pop up in it is just like, Anyway, so the elusive man and Cerberus want to help you stop the Reapers. Human colonies have gone missing in the hundreds of thousands. No one knows why. The Alliance aren't investigating it. So this is basically Shepard gone rogue.
Yeah.
There are some returning faces to your team, like the Turian, Garrus Vicarian.
Fan favorite Garrus.
Or him and Tally are two of my all-time favorites. We'll do characters in a little while. In a little bit. But so you kickstart by going off and yet again investigating what is going on. You find out it is a race of creatures called the Collectors, who, spoiler warning, turns out are Protheans. Yeah. And they work for the Reapers. They're collecting humans for an unknown purpose. You have to go and find out what that purpose is. And yet again, come the end of it, you're a hero. You save the galaxy, although nobody believes a fucking word of it, and you end up being arrested.
Which sets up the biggest thing for number 3 in a moment. Are we moving to number 3, or are we finished with number 2?
That is kind of Mass Effect 2 in a nutshell.
The whole thing about this as well is the second one is basically this mission is a one-way trip.
Yes,
you're not coming back.
It's known as the suicide mission within the game, and it is possible to kill everyone, including
yourself.
Yeah, if you rush through the game and don't take your time with it, you will get screwed over.
Oh yes,
on that just the run up to the suicide mission, you'll get.
And again, the game doesn't tell you this, and you can go and do this. You can go straight for the suicide mission
if you really want to, but it won't end well.
I highly recommend against that. Go and play the rest of the game before doing it.
If you just want to see a funny alternate ending, just start a new game. We don't need a crew. Fly straight for it. You'll die instantly. Anyway.
Yeah.
So that was Mass Effect 2. Continued the franchise on. Like I said, the graphics were a definite upgrade for me. The story,
and the combat system was a massive overhaul.
oh yeah, the combat system was a massive overhaul.
The only like we touched on, the only thing that lets down that is it's in game and in universe. The first game, if you were smart enough, you technically don't run out of ammunition. Right, you can overheat. You could. There's an in-view universe explanation. You can overheat the gun that causes you a moment to have to wait for firing again. But if you're smart enough, you can continually fire. The second game brought in an ammunition system, which that was a bit. I think that was the most controversial thing.
I wasn't a fan of it.
Yeah. But it worked.
I understood why, because
I understood the why.
With the first game, if you had a character that you played through a couple of times and you'd maxed out the levels and everything, even on legendary mode, if you had any kind of assault rifle with high level heat sink and frictionless materials, you basically had an infinite ammo gun on your.
It runs into that joke of the enemies will pop out when you run out of ammunition. You never run out.
Yeah. You just walk around with your finger continuously on the fire button, and it barely gets up to overheat levels.
Yeah.
You could essentially break the game using the game mechanics against it. But for me, in a weird way, that's kind of a mark of a true RPG where if you use the stacking system right way, you can really
really go to town. And you can have some fun.
Okay. But yes, that will lead us into Mass Effect 3. Graphics wise, for me, didn't improve too much from number 2.
No, it didn't need. This was released in 2012 also.
March 6th, 2012, the day before my birthday. So you can imagine what my birthday present was in 2012.
Well, funnily enough, I had to go to what was then Blockbusters. Just briefly, this game literally sold out. Literally sold out everywhere.
I was one of the lucky ones who went to HMV, pre-ordered it. I got the pre-order code for the Awakening DLC, I think it was called, where you wake Javik up.
Yeah, there's controversy over that.
Yes. But as a HMV exclusive, I also got a Mass Effect 3 N7 shirt. And I still have it.
Which, funnily enough,
it's that shirt. I have it in my wardrobe. It no longer gets worn.
But I've got the now patched up.
I know. It's I haven't worn it in a very long time.
Them up there. They're all on Legendary. This is how much this game means to me. They're on
Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect 3 is sometime after Mass Effect 2. It's not too long. I think it's within a year.
I think it's about, actually, if you play, if my memory serves, the last DLC that comes out for 2, which is actually technically post-Suicide Mission and game, is a 6-month time leap from there to 3.
Yes,
6 months.
It's about 6 months then. But yeah, anyway, you have been placed under arrest for blowing up.
House arrest.
Yeah, for blowing up a mass relay and wiping out a Batarian system.
Yeah, Batarian solar system has gone bye-bye. Off the map.
That's
for good reason.
That's part of the ending.
2. That's the end of that. Is it the end of 2, and that's Bringing Down the Sky DLC.
Something like that. I think it's called The Arrival. I can't remember. Anyway,
that might be
it is explained. It's sort of that DLC for Mass Effect 2 was meant to sort of bridge the gap between going from Mass Effect 2 into number 3.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it starts, and Captain Anderson, voiced brilliantly by the legend that is Keith fucking David.
Yeah, absolutely. We said about names and voices. There's one.
Keith motherfucking David. He's
David
Jackson. You have to say motherfucking in the middle of his name. You just have to.
It is
he comes to you basically. Oh, we've lost long distance communications with this. And it's like, yeah, it's the Reapers. How do you know? It's the fucking Reapers. I've been saying
it for 6 fucking years.
They're on their way.
Now they're here. The biggest I told you so in gaming history.
Yeah, and that is where Mass Effect 3 starts. It starts with the Reaper invasion.
It starts with the Reapers turning up.
And I've said
boy.
I've said this to get my words out. I've said this to you before when talking about Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect 3 is a dark game, and I don't just mean
very.
I don't just mean that the lighting sometimes is really dark.
Yeah,
and
no, it's the story, the tone, everything. It's literally
this
is War of the Worlds on a galactic scale. It's not just one planet, it's all of them.
The first time I did a playthrough of Mass Effect 3, I've never played a game that made me cry as much as that fucking game did, because of the amount of deaths of characters that you built up a relationship with, had grown close with, not just from a story perspective, but from a gameplay perspective, because everyone will say this about Mass Effect. When it comes to your squad, everyone's got their favorite setup.
Tangent alert. Mass Effect 3, for me, is perhaps my pre-warning for Season 5 of Stranger Things, right? Because we're going in, like is mentioned with Stranger Things, we are going into the last season. Everybody's head is on the chopping block.
All bets are off.
All bets are off. And with Mass Effect 3, straight from the offset, all bets are off.
Yeah.
And this is where all those choices you may or may not have made over the last two courses of the last two games, they can come and bite you in the ass.
Yeah, and some of those characters that you've been with since game number 1. Now, bear in mind, right? We say this now, like all 3 games are now out. There's the Legendary Edition.
I mean, the last of the ones we're talking about, 3, like we said, it come out in 2012, which was 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And even if you're playing through it now, it's still some of the themes and scenes make you cry.
This is the thing, though. This is the thing, though, right? And this is, I think, people jumping in and playing it now probably won't get the same emotional attachment that people like us have got, because we were there from the beginning.
Yeah.
I remember a time when I'd played Mass Effect 1 and 2 through so many times that I was maxed out level on everything. My Paragon and Renegade levels were both maxed out. Those 2 games were wide open to me, with possibilities of endings I could get, routes and combinations I could do. And that was a journey that, like we said, started in 2007.
Yes.
2012, 5 years later. For 5 years, I'd played through the first 2 games multiple times. I'd grown such an emotional attachment to some of these characters because I'd played these games so much that when it got to the 3rd game and you see some of them sacrifice themselves, die unceremoniously, and some of them you just say goodbye to.
Yeah. Literally, it's just conversation and, I'll see you and then suddenly off camera.
But Mass Effect 3, I don't want to spoil the story because there are so many ups and downs, and because of your choices that you make in the first 2 games, there are so many possibilities of who stays and who doesn't. Yeah. But the one that I will say, because it breaks my heart every time I do a playthrough with this one, if you play as a male shepherd character, the character of Talizora, one of my all-time favorite characters, from the 2nd game through to the end of the 3rd game, is a romance option. She's not a choice in the 1st one, but the 2nd one onwards.
She is
And there's this beautiful moment where you're gearing up for this game's version of the suicide mission.
Yeah.
And this one feels like it is a suicide mission because of everything that's going on around you.
You're not coming back.
With everything that's going on around you, it really does feel like this is the end. And there's a wonderful moment where you can talk to all of your squad mates. And there's even vidcoms where you can talk to every character every squad mate you've had across the whole trilogy and say your goodbyes. And some of them are hard. But you have this moment with Tali, if you romance her, where it's just you and her, you're off to one side, and your characters that they're talking, they're holding hands. And She says in her cute little accented voice that she has, she says, now it comes down to it. I don't want to say goodbye. Keela Salai, I want more time.
Are you getting... I could break you.
Fuck, don't you bother. Don't you?
Because you know a little rhyme I happen to know.
Shut up. No. But
I'll
yeah,
do it later.
again, this is what I'm saying. I'm getting most
certain characters.
game characters. There are some characters that if they're a romance option through the game,
yeah,
you're going to have your heart broken no matter what you do to try.
And then there are those who are not a romance option but still break your heart.
But yeah, so when now here comes the controversial bit. You play through the whole Mass Effect, you bring the galaxy together because the Reapers are here, war is here, there's no stopping it. It's every species with working together with every species, or you're all fucked. It's either we all work together or we're all doomed. That's it. You, as Shepard, this beacon of hope, unite all the galaxies together. You've made multiple hundreds of choices throughout the whole trilogy of the games. You get through this suicide mission with these heartbreaking moments where you say goodbye to all these characters. And you're presented with red, blue, green.
There's a secret fourth.
There is a secret fourth option, but not many people figured that out. And the idea is you meant to pick
a secret fourth, but it doesn't lead to a very good ending either way. It kind of does and kind of doesn't. It's a bit.
This got so much coverage that I actually heard about this on like Kerrang Radio when they were doing their daily news report. Like how players were up in arms about this. And I understand why, right? Originally, the ending for Mass Effect 3 boiled down to no matter what choices you'd made across the entire trilogy of how you were going to deal with the Reapers, it came down to three choices. Either control them, which was blue, destroy them, which was red. So blue for Paragon, blue for Paragon, red for Renegade. Well, you had green, which was synthesis. Basically, fuse organic and inorganic matter together so that there was no longer a divide between organic
and biological life. There was basically one set.
So ideally, that's the best option to go for. That's the perfect ending.
In theory.
Didn't have to kill anyone, because if you destroy the Reapers, you wipe out all synthetic life. But if you control the Reapers, all you do is reset the counter. 50,000 years from now, they'll be back again.
Yeah. Which, for those of you who may not have played this game and might think about playing this game, then get to the end and think, well, I'll just wipe out all synthetic life. Little bit of a spoiler. You've got a synthetic life form aboard your ship that you do form quite an attachment to, not to mention several other.
Plus, there's the wider implication of being that anybody with any kind of cybernetic implant, their implants would automatically shut down.
And considering you were brought back into through the medium of cybernetic organisms,
well, it's not just that. If you think about it, in just passing stuff in Mass Effect, it is noted that people have things like cybernetic eye implants so that they're not blind, lung implants so they can breathe. It's all of a sudden like you start tallying this up in your brain, and it's like, well, wait.
Suddenly the galactic implication.
Oh dear.
Hang on. The implication there is not. Oh, hang on. Yeah, just a bit of a thing to think about. Did you play it?
Getting back to it. So yeah, by the end of Mass Effect 3, your choices are boiled down to 3 with a 4th secret one. If this Star Child that appears, if you just tell him fuck you and shoot him in the face, it goes, all right.
There's a secret 4th ending.
The cycle continues. All intelligent life is wiped out, and the next race or whoever becomes the next powerful race in the galaxy, they have to fight the Reapers, blah, 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 blah. The cycle continues, basically. So, that caused such a fucking controversy because it was like, well, if you've destroyed all of the relay gates, you've now got every species in the galaxy literally parked on Earth's doorstep, and the Earth has been decimated. We have nothing left. Oops.
A bit of a problem there.
Yeah. So BioWare, they tried to fix it. They tried.
They did a decent job of fixing it, a decent job, but not a perfect
It
one.
closes a lot of loops, and it just gives the idea of, okay, the relays weren't destroyed. They were just broken a little bit, but they can be repaired. This cycle of species and everything knows how to. You built the Crucible, for fuck's sake. You can fix the fucking relays. I mean, come on. That's the general idea of it. So they did sort of fix it, but and I seen this put brilliantly at the time it come out. There was loads of comments on Facebook about it when it all come out. And one guy put it fucking perfectly. Mass Effect 3's fixed ending is the quite literal definition of you can polish a turd as much as you like, but it's still a fucking turd. And I agree.
There's that much controversy that with the little trivia you may be holding back. BioWare was sent, what was it, 100 or so cakes?
They were sent 150 assorted cupcakes in red, blue, and green. And they were supposed to be different flavored, but they were all vanilla flavored, meaning that it didn't matter what color you picked, you had the
same cake.
And you know what, right? That original ending, I did actually pick all three to see if there was a difference. And those original endings,
marginal difference.
90% of it, and I shit you not, 90% of it, it was all the same cutscenes, different color filter over it.
Yeah.
You could literally put them side by side, and it's like it's the same animation, same thing over and over. The only difference was on the control and the synthesis one, the Reapers that were standing in the background would lift up and fly away.
Or they would
on the destroy
and be glowing green and start sort of helping.
Yeah, but on the destroy ending, there'd be a few like boom, boom, boom explosions, and then they'd slowly fall over. That was the only real difference between the three endings. They were 99% the same fucking ending. But anyway, they fixed it. A lot of fans weren't happy with it. To be honest, I think they did the best of a bad situation.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on behind the scenes with EA at the time,
and BioWare in general. I think a lot of that shows in the one we weren't going to talk, Andromeda. That shows a lot in Andromeda. I mean,
that's one way.
Note, Andromeda was released on in March of 2017.
I didn't even list that one.
Yeah, I thought I'd look it up quickly. But that's been 8 years. That was the last major installment before they did the Legendary, which is the Legendary Edition. It's basically all three of the games we're talking about in one continuous.
Yes, with all
playthrough. And that was 2021.
With nearly all of the DLC. We say nearly.
Yeah, nearly. There was one, and it's a minor DLC, and it's from number one.
Yeah, and that is purely because
they lost the files.
No, they didn't lose them. They didn't lose them. They did, but they found them again. But the problem was because it had been so long since the files had been maintained and checked and everything.
They become corrupted.
They were so corrupted that there was no way of fixing it, or even remaking it.
Yeah, there was a way. The thing was that there was a way of remaking it, but it would take that long to remake it.
They just didn't see the point in doing it.
The effort wasn't needed.
And the other DLC that is missing, because this mode is missing from its original release, Mass Effect 3, when it first came out, had a multiplayer component which fed into the single player game. It didn't have to. You didn't have to do it. You could get your galactic readiness full by just literally.
It helped, but it didn't. It wasn't essential.
Kind of, but as long as you did all the side missions in Mass Effect 3, you were 100% complete in that game. You could get your bar up to the minimum readiness and still get a good ending from the game. But anyway, it had a multiplayer component to it, which was good enough for its time. It was basically horde mode. You know, you and a group of friends, you held out against waves. It was fun for what it was, but that is no longer included. So all of the DLC that was included for that has gone. Although I do think that the weapons that were available in multiplayer, the ones that could be ported over to the single player have been ported over to the single player. But yeah, as you stated there, the Legendary Edition is available. Came out in 2021. It's the trilogy, all DLC. The first one gets the most upgrades, I feel.
Yeah, no, that
graphics
was
wise, it's completely overhauled.
Yeah, the first one was good because the first one's obviously 2007 release, and the Legendary Edition being 2021, they updated that massively because of the complaints mostly surrounded the leveling up system and the combat system. So they up and the graphics. So because that one needed the most work, they put most of the effort there. And they did still update the other two massively.
Yeah, not so much in the visual department because I've noticed this when I did my playthrough of the Legendary Edition.
Yeah,
number 3 doesn't look too much different from its original release. Although one thing I will talk about is you can definitely tell it came out in that era of the Abrams Star Trek films.
Yes.
Number 3, there are times where I'm just trying to walk around my fucking ship and I cannot see where I'm going because of the lens flare.
The dreaded lens flare. That was something I found when I first played 3. I literally remember leaving it on a pause screen at one point. The pause screen, if you play the game, the pause screen has got a nice, fairly decent background to it. It's fairly low brightness. You can get through it. But when I unpaused it and went back into the game, it was just white light because I was just at the wrong angle with the Jesus Christ. Lens flare could blind you.
Yeah. So number 3 has its faults, but graphics-wise, I didn't think that needed much of an update. Even control and gameplay-wise, it would just make it run smoother. And I think that was the general kind of feeling with Mass Effect 2 was like, just tweak the graphics a little bit, make things less blurry, smooth it out a bit. But Mass Effect 1...
Mostly what they did was just basically polish off most of the graphics for 3. They updated a couple of things, dimmed the lens flare.
Mass Effect 1, for the Legendary Edition, they got out the fucking polyfiller, they got that drywalling out. They were like, this fucking needs repairing. This needs a big fix up because
everything we forgot to fix the first time around, do it now.
Honestly, that was one of the hardest things about going back and doing a replay of that original trilogy on their original releases, because from number 1 to number 2, just that jump in graphics alone is a little bit jarring. But the Legendary Edition that's out now, it does improve that. So you can still notice it because the game's artistic styles are both very, very different.
One thing I'll remember from the first one, playing it on the original to the Legendary, which I have played the Legendary on the first one briefly here and there. I'm still trying to work through it. The load screens are far quicker.
Yes. Although in some instances that can be a bit of a bad thing, because I remember back in the day,
you could go and make a cup of tea.
That's where I was going with it. For me, back in the day on the old Xbox 360, a loading screen would pop up, like, right, time for a break.
I think the other thing was, this was sort of maybe toward the middle, maybe toward the latter end of the 360 era of the game. So that's the other thing with Mass Effect 1. It's one of these games that was released and it really pushes the 360's technology of the time.
The first one was a fairly early game for the Xbox 360. I don't think it was a launch title, but I know that it was within the first...
definitely a mid sort of section, and it was starting to test its boundary.
Yeah.
It's one of them games that's trying to test the boundary of the technology available. So that's another reason why it is like an A-lister and still spoken about, like such as now.
Yeah.
Was,
that brings us to the end of the Mass Effect road. There is supposedly another game being worked on at the moment. We know next to nothing. This is the
thing. I mean, maybe we can briefly talk about the studio, because I've heard some rumblings about the studio.
I'd rather not. We're approaching our cut-off point anyway. So
Yeah.
I think if there's going to be another Mass Effect, I just hope
it needs to be better than Andromeda.
it needs to be better than Andromeda. But then again, a skunk taking a diarrhea shit in my eyeballs would be better than Mass Effect Andromeda.
Apparently, though, like I said, Andromeda's released in 8 years of release. It's actually playable now.
I don't care. It's still crap.
But yeah, as you can see, the reactions, folks.
Okay, right. I'll quickly cover this. We've got a few minutes. I will quickly go over this, right? I decided a few years back, about 2 years ago, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a series. I'm going to do a series run through. Started on the first one, got through the second one, got through the third one. This is all on Xbox, by the way. Then I went for Andromeda. I got to the first planet and I stopped playing not because the gameplay was bad. The gameplay was okay. But you would jump jetting around like you were on Titanfall fucking 2 or one of the space-based fucking COD games. You were hovering in the air, shooting down at enemies. I was like, this isn't Mass Effect.
Somebody's installed COD. That was one of the things that I found. Like,
it's not just that, though. It's not just that, though, right? Like I said, the combat system was fine enough, but it didn't feel like Mass Effect. And the story just, I didn't care. I didn't care. Right, this is the thing about Mass Effect 1. From that first mission out, you get a connection with the character.
Yeah.
You know what
you actually want to know a bit about the character's history. You like you meet Garrus, or you meet Rex, or you meet Tali. You actually want to know a bit more about them.
Yeah, but
Andromeda.
This is the beautiful thing about Mass Effect 1. It starts off with you, Caden, and Jenkins.
Yeah.
Then Jenkins is taken down, replaced by Ashley.
Very quickly.
Then for a while, it's just the three of you, and the characters are introduced slowly.
Yeah.
But in Andromeda, it's like your character wakes up, and then you're bombarded with, here's this alien, and this one, 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 and this one. And it's like you're meeting the entire fucking ship's crew within about 5 minutes of each other.
Yeah, it does feel very rushed.
Throws everything at you, and it's like, give the story time to actually get into it. And by the time you're on the first planet and it's dropping fucking story notes at you, I'm just there like, I don't care. I really don't care about any of this. So I stopped playing it. And I don't think I'll ever go back to it. But if the new one does come out, I hope it lives up to the legacy of the original trilogy.
I have to get back to that formula.
That's all I can really say about it, because we don't know anything gameplay. We don't know anything setting-wise. We know nothing. We just know that there is a new Mass Effect game being developed at BioWare. That is all we know at this time.
And to bring it on a positive note, like I said, the first 3 games, a lot of the media you see behind me, the comic books and novels, things like that, they are brilliant. They're fantastic. They're top-notch. It's just that I believe, and this is the thing, BioWare, EA, there's certain other things that it's suffering a little bit of that.
Yeah.
With they're riding on that money train. It's got a big name, and they're riding that money train. So the last few installments haven't been brilliant, and I'm hoping they bring it back round to go, do you know what? We need to get back to that original formula. That it's either going to work or it's going to not, but we need to just do a good story.
But right, so that is it
on there
for Mass Effect, the trilogy. Anyway, fuck Andromeda. If you've never played Mass Effect, it's a worthwhile game. If you're a gamer, it's a worthwhile game to play. If you have played Mass Effect out there over in the YouTube lands, please let us know in the comment section below your favorite game, your favorite character, and maybe even your favorite moment from that. But quickly covering it before we definitely say goodbye here. 3 favorite characters off the top of your head, no dilly-dallying. For me,
I'm going to just belt them out.
For me, favorite characters, due to a recent playthrough of the game, Thane Krios.
Yeah.
Mordin Solus And who could forget that ass, as the fans would call it, Miranda Lawson.
Legion.
Mentions going off to Tally because Tally's my cutie. She's my
Tally is a Legion.
So go on, three favorites.
Legion. Brilliant AI character. Very well voiced. Very good character. It's always been a little bit of a toss up between these two, and it's Grunt or Rex, because they're both Krogan and they've both got their charms. Grunt or Rex, but definitely hitting that number one spot. I can't help it. It's Garrus Vicarian.
I thought you
Archangel.
I thought you were going to go with "I am the very model of a scientist Solarian."
You had already mentioned him, and yeah, he's a real favorite of mine. But who can remember that? Anybody who play, if you haven't played the game, go and play the game. You'll understand. If you have played the game, you understand having him as your back wing for a sniper, and the banter between the pair of you.
I love him.
Guys.
So go on then, who's your favorite? Who's your honorable mention then?
My honorable mention.
Quick, come on, we're running out of time here.
Yep, Tally.
Of course.
And
if viewers, you don't know who Tally Zora Vas Normandy is,
go and play the game.
Just be careful of the deviant artwork that is out there.
Yes.
You can type in pictures of Tally from Mass Effect.
Oh yeah.
Keep safe search on. That's all I'm saying.
Keep the safe search on.
Keep the safe search switched on for that one. But anyway, so that's it. Favorite characters done. Mass Effect done. We're done for the night.
There you go.
So then, dear viewers, join myself and the return of the Random Man next week. I have been that bitch, Calista Valentine.
I've been Jimmy Clifford.
And this has been Home Your Geeky Shine. We'll catch you next time. Bye.